came out against the Million Man March. And it was during the time the Baptist Convention was going on, and the top ministers cornered Reverend Demas. May Allah be pleased with him, he's gone, about letting us have our meetings, our Million Man meetings, March meetings in his church. They were against it. So Reverend Meeks circulated a letter to the ministers. I and a few others still have a copy of the letter. And some of what the letter is saying to the pastors is, do not support Minister Farrakhan's Million Man March because he does not believe that Jesus is Lord. And he went on to say some other stuff. I didn't have time to find the letter and read the contents to you. But that is, not only that, we circulated, Doris Lewis and I, just two women, we went out one Sunday, and we circulated petitions in the area. He sent his security guards out to take all our flyers off of everybody's car. Okay? We had to plead, brothers, give us our flyers because, you know, we paid a lot of money to circulate our stuff. So my point is, certain enemies and haters of black people and Muslims give some clergymen perks for coming against Minister Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan is the whipping board. If you can stand up and say, yeah, I hate Minister Farrakhan, I'll come out against him, I'll speak out, blah, blah, they'll get perks. And this is for real. But anyway, I won't go into all of that, and I won't call a lot of names. But we had a lot of opposition. But the day of the Million Man March, when almost 200 men showed up, strong black men showed up, every minister in town was trying to get up on the roster. And I'm going to say this, and I don't care who don't like it, Reverend Leon Bennett wanted to pay the FOIs to let him get up on the roster and speak, to look out at 200 black men, but they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't let him come on. But I'm just saying, you know, that's Reverend Meeks. And some of our people will come out real strong against their own people if that's what white folks want them to do for the love and the lust of money. That's it. That's all. I'm real busy this morning. I ain't doing no commenting. I just love this show. I just love conscious young black people. Stay strong, my son. Keep this show up. Ruthie, you own it. You be finding good stuff. And whatever you find on there, I bet you I got articles here in my artifacts. So stay on the case, dear. Peace be unto you all, family.
Peace be unto you. We're going to have to get Sister Zakia's artifacts. We're going to have to look at that. Let me back up, too, because y'all crack me up. Again, I'm going to hit you back again, Lori. We can be intentional. These venues have been open for less than a year. Like you saying it like the Park Supper Club or like the Park and Bronzeville Winery has been in existence for multiple years. Yes, I think that we're getting to the place. We don't got nobody with 29 venues. And the reality is, let me let it go. I think you talking about people being intentional and ain't intentional about us in general. So you think they finna be intentional about where they go? Like, come on now. It's like you have to remind people. Let's go to the live line. Caller, you on the Maze Jackson Show. Caller?
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, this is Tamika Smith.
Hey, Tamika
this
Smith.
is my first time calling you.
Thank you for calling.
Hey, this is my first time calling. So bear with me.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but I've been following you for a long time.
Okay.
I just want to say shout out to Riis and Ruthie. Before I say something, I'm going to do a disclaimer. The opinions and words that come out of Tamika Smith's mouth, I mean, Jackson. First off, let's just keep it a buck. Black churches have been the most disservice in our community. And We got to keep it real. And I think that's the problem. And Maze, I think me and you in the same generation, and you can kind of relate to me on this. I grew up in a Black church all my life. And one of the things I had noticed is that one thing you cannot do is question the pastor, can't question the church, you can't question the Bible. You can't do none of that. That was taboo. And I had experienced going to a white church one time. And what I noticed the difference between the two churches is, and this is just my observation, white churches usually teach about unity, empowerment, or letting us know Jesus was a radical. He was a gangster. That's what I really got out of the whole thing. And really, honestly, Jesus was a gangster. But when you go to these Black churches, they still teach us, and this I'm not knocking all Black churches. Don't get me wrong, please. So please don't.
You
don't
good? You good? You good?
Okay, thank you. Black churches continue to teach us to stay oppressed. That's why our community is the way it is. That's why when around that time with that whole Meek situation about drying up the whole neighborhood, see, the biggest mistake is that most of these pastors became political. I remember a time back in the 80s, you had 6 storefront churches on one corner. And one of the things I remember with most of those churches at the time, that those pastors did unify and try to fight against the status quo. These some of it I remember. But when it came political, that's when everything changed. It became more of a competition with a lot of these pastors. That's why one of the reasons why a lot of these storefront churches are no longer around anymore. Now you got these mega churches. And I live in Bronzeville, and I'm not going to say the name of the church, and I'm not going to say the intersection, but you know who I'm talking about. You have a big old church on one corner, and across the street you have Prestige. That church be open around the same time the members go. And the problem with that is that I was around that time with a lot of those lounges and clubs was all in the neighborhood. And one of the things I remember most, I had an aunt that owned the club. And one of the things she did, she always gave back to the community. And most of those lounge owners did. But when you dried up and got rid of all those club owners, what happened? The only ones left is these Arab liquor stores. Are they giving back to the community? They talk about Roseland. Look at Roseland now. You talk about drying up to kind of save the community. Roseland is in the worst shape it has been since all those club owners have gone. So these pastors have been a disservice into our community. And until we just got to keep it a buck and keep it 100, it's going to continue to stay that way. I'm not saying all pastors are like that. Majority of them are. And that's why we are conditioning in. That's why it's low membership in churches. That's why the youth not going no more, because they see the hypocrisy. I've seen the hypocrisy when I'm 25. I'm 46. And I saw it then. And until we come to that realization, to know that Jesus wasn't about us being submissive. He was about telling us to be gangsters, to be radical. That's what I got out of these white churches. That's why white churches stay empowered, while Black churches stay oppressed. And until we get out of that mindset and stop believing in rhetoric and stop believing that BS, we're going to continue to stay in the condition that we're in. And then these pastors be over here praying for more membership. You need to change the rhetoric. You need to listen to the people. Stop bringing these old Stop bringing these.
Don't apologize. We have to. You did a disclaimer.
We gotta be real. We can't have these politicians come on election day, and they come on election day, say it's still the same rhetoric, and then try to post this stuff like say vote Democrat, stay Democrat. That's why they continue doing it. They listen to the pastors. This is what the pastor said. But we gotta start changing it. We gotta come to the realization. We gotta stop feeling oppressed. That's why these Black folks in Chicago continue to stay complacent. You can preach this all day long about how we need to empower ourselves, but we stuck in the bubble. We stuck in this. We complacent. We are very complacent people in Chicago. I'm not saying in other cities. I lived in Atlanta for a few years. It's a different night and day. You do have a church community, and you still have that bubble there. But I see a total different change. A difference in folks in Atlanta. That's why most of Chicago are moving south, because people can't take the oppression here. This city has had this oppressed mind for so long, and it all stems from the church. it all stems from the church. So I'm gonna land this plane, and
Look at that. You got sound effects and everything. You ain't even had to wait 3 months. Now I'm just playing. Tamika, thank you for calling. And I see you in the comments all the time, so you got to become a regular caller. We get you on the exec board. I appreciate you calling. That is Tamika Smith calling us from the south side. We got more callers calling. You're on the Maze Jackson Show. What's going on?
Hello?
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 Hey, caller.
Hey.
You here?
Hi. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm better now that I'm on the line with you. This is Diana Graham from Elkhart, Indiana.
Hi, Diana Graham from Elkhart, Indiana. I seen you in the comments. What's going on?
Well, my husband, they tried to get a malpractice thing, but my husband was flat out murdered at a hospital here in Elkhart, Indiana. And the lawyers here stood flat-footed and said they weren't going to get involved. They're not going to do anything because, I guess, of how big the hospital umbrella is. The police, the sheriffs, the state police, the attorney general of Indiana. And I just want to call it to somebody's attention. I'm out of time now. There's nothing can be done because I couldn't get a lawyer for 2 years. In 2 weeks, it's over with. But they had said nothing was wrong with my husband. He didn't lose his pulse. He didn't have COVID. His vitals was good and his blood sugar was fine. My son went to tell the family Dad was coming home. They did something to me to cause me to pass out. They left me in a room for over 8 hours while they trained on my husband. At the end of the night, they stuck intubation tube down his throat and killed him. So I don't know what. I just was trying all the times I've been calling you to get somebody to respond, but I've called everybody and talked to everybody, wrote everybody. But this is it. And you're probably saying, what are you telling me for? They're killing. This is their new lynching tactic. They take us to the hospital and then just kill us there. They have a white coat on. Nobody will do anything, and they work in a building called hospital. And I know you know all of this. But if anybody out there that can help stop the killing at Elkhart General Hospital, please do so. I don't know what else to do. I had a loving, good husband. We were married 52 years. We were together 55. And they just took his life because they could. So now what?
Man, let me, first of all, Riis, write that number down. I'm going to try and call my attorney and see if there's anything we can do. First of all, my condolences on your pain and your loss of your husband of 52 years. That's devastating. This be like Ruthie, like I don't even, let me see if I can call a attorney that I know and see if we can connect the dots. Riis, is that it? Any other callers up there? All right. Look, y'all. That was heavy. Goodness. We got to figure something out. I'll think about that after I get off the show. I read the article and I thought, I don't feel like there's that much of a surprise in the article. We know that there's inequity. We know that there's a difference in the way that they treat us and treat them. And I was just thinking, as they did the article, that in my lifetime, I watched us go from ownership to subcontractors in the entertainment industry. I think about Vice and entertainment, billion-dollar industries, and we don't even control that in our community. With not one weed shop, not one terminal operator, not one black casino owner, I look and I say, man, in my lifetime, if you would have asked me 20-something years ago, would black people be in the state? Do y'all understand, like, really? Ruthie, any concert came to town, guess what? Any black people came to town, guess where they was going? To the black venue. Mm. So imagine now for you, imagine this. The Jay-Z after party, it wasn't at Tao. Guess where the Jay-Z after party was? E2. The Click. When Puff Daddy and the Family in the World Tour came, the Click. E2. Guess what? They had an ecosystem. It was like you came to Chicago, you was touching down. Rosemont, United Center, they could get that, but it got to come over here. And what you knew was when it got over here, the brothers was going to eat. Imagine the gravity now that when people come to town, that the black artists come to town and they after parties is at a white venue. And now it's a white venue without even a black promoter. All because we wanted to party like rock stars. Mm. Party like a rock star. They hung up. They scared. I want to talk about it. I mean, we allow people to come into our neighborhoods, tell us that alcohol was bad, dry up. I gotta tell you, those neighborhood taverns and bars, though, those were your think tanks. Those were where you went to go solve the problems of the neighborhood, because everybody that drank wasn't standing outside shooting. Why is it that a strip of black-owned restaurants, well, you know why? Because they're not going to put all the money into rebuilding the block and making it an entertainment district.
And then just to solidify what you're saying from this same article that I've been reading all day, there's a line in here that says, blah, blah, blah. Throughout the 80s, with Harold Washington and Alderman Robert Shaw campaigning and hanging out in neighborhood bars in Roseland had been a safe haven for liquor. It no longer is. So in the 80s, like you just said, Maze, that was where the thing
Where
happened.
did you go to sit? Where did you meet? Like, dog, every time you go to a meeting right now, you be like, we're going to have a meeting over drinks. If it's after 4. If it's after 5. Where do black people convene? Where do you meet your next door neighbor or the neighbor across the next week? The block party that you scared to go to now? It's like we participate in our own demise.
Because weave this into the Shamrock bars.
What you mean?
How they got all the bars with the Shamrocks on them. Mm-hmm. And how they're like in the neighborhood. Remember them dudes got...
Yep. And I do need to point out that all it did was make the liquor stores rise. And the people stand outside the liquor stores. And there's no ownership. Mm. And can I tell you, at this point, most of the... Ruthie, have you ever been to one of these downtown bars? Mm-hmm. They got lights. They got cameras. They got doormen. They got, what we got? Holes in the walls. In the nicest place that you can go, you got to get patted down if you black.
And you got to be over, 35?
Oh, that's good. Because you know y'all knuckleheads.
So it really ain't nowhere, really too many places to go.
So where do all the people that listen to Lil Baby and Wheezy Jeezy go? Outside.
Parking lot pimping. Parking lot pull-ups.
Downtown. Buckingham Fountain Night.
Or downtown drag racing. Let me back up. I got one more thing I want to talk about today, and that's the weight of the black scale. And the reason what brought up the weight of the black scale is I was thinking about this article, and I was thinking about Ruthie's response. The weight of the black scale, we put our thumb on it to make ourselves feel better. So today we did an exercise earlier when I told you who's doing well black in the neighborhood, right? And you was like, I know people in the entertainment industry, right? You was like the entertainment industry, et cetera, et cetera. And I was thinking about if you named all of the bangingest black restaurants that you could name. And let me do this. Let's do this right now. I want you all, while you're in the chat, I want you to name all of the best black restaurants that you can. Just list them. List them. And let me help you understand. I am excited for every Bronzeville winery, every Truth Italian, every S2 Grill, every Ooh Wee Sweet Tea. What else did I get? Virtue, 1111, Tribe. What else we got? Name them all. And then I want you to think about all of that you thought about. And black people would tell you that we should be good. We should be happy. Look at that. And then I tell you, one white guy has 4 times that. Black scale. You'll name 25 restaurants and you still won't be equivalent to one of their owners. We think that black success, it's funny because black people will tell you you got enough. Black people in successful positions will point to Carmen Rossi and be like, why you ain't like him? Why you over here asking me for money? Why you can't and we'll go to the white guy's restaurant and support him and patronize him and spend up money and stunt and write checks to the fundraisers and everything, and then look at you and be like, nigga, what's wrong with you? Look at him. And then I say, you got your finger on the black scale. We on the black scale. Because black folks think you should be happy with subsistence. Right? Like, man, if you ain't hand to mouth, if you ain't paycheck to paycheck, nigga, you should be happy. When I watch, and it's tough, Ruthie, to be in the same space where you know you are smart, and the same people that you help see the white boys better than you. When the white boy can do a multi-million-dollar deal because he knows that you'll back him up, you be like, that nigga don't know what to do with no money. You know, so many times I watch white boys with the same ideas get access to capital and go on to be successful.
Can I ask you a question? Is that normally because they have the political inroads, like their wealth is legislated in a way?
It's a combo.
Like they
right?
scratch each other backs.
And it's like, I've come to, so usually what happens is somebody white says, this kid has got some potential. He's got great ideas. Let me back him. Let me get him up. Let me put some expertise behind him. Let me put some economics. That's a great idea. Let me put some economics behind it. No, I'm not going to short you on the fact that you need marketing. No, nobody gave you, right? And it becomes people in black people take pride in investing in white success. Black people take pride in investing in white success and castigate you for not being white if you black. If you know that the world is set differently, we can see, Carmen, and we can see white guys rich and be okay with that. We can't see black people, and we certainly can't see
that part.
I'm cool treating a 25, 26, 27-year-old it's amazing to me the arrogance of, like, hear me, Ruthie, I show every black person respect, right? I call people Mr. I call them by their titles, everything. And I watch as white folks, half my age, be like, first name this, first name that. And I be running around here trying to give people their props. And the white folks bring them straight on back down. Like, you could be a bazillionaire, and white folks gonna call you by your first name. Yep. I'd be like, Mr. Sir.
Hey, Barack.
What?
Yeah.
All the while hoping that at some point you will see the same value in black people that you do in white people equivalent to the deal. Like, somebody's got to be prideful enough to say, we want, the black people should have the Lala deal.
Mm-hmm.
Not the secondary deal, not the tertiary deal. Like, to me, if y'all got Lala, we got to get the liquor. And somebody else got to get the weed. And somebody else got to get...
Is a Lala liquor deal worth millions?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Come on now. Come on now. Man, please. Are you kidding me? The Red Bull deal is worth millions.
Okay.
At $10 a can? 200,000 people? A day?
I think that's why it's hard to fathom. Because it's just like so much money that, and we just...
And it's crazy because it is so much money.
But that's why you get so frustrated, because you understand it, you see the scalability. So while we got one restaurant with 12 people, they got, I see what
one dude has he got your whole restaurant portfolio. One dude. And guess what? Ain't nobody trying to be standing next to you with your one when they can go stand next to him with 25, 29, black or white. And then you go ask a black person for a liquor license. Man, please, you know what it's like for a black person to get a liquor license in Chicago?
Do any black aldermen advocate for people to get liquor licenses, or is that kind of like taboo a little bit? Because I've only seen them fight against people getting them, unless they just help behind the scenes and I don't be knowing. I
think that you've seen the place that don't let you come in unless you get patted down. Right? But like, you ask yourself, how many think about this. I'm not even going to go. How many black restaurants don't have a liquor license? That if they could, they would be a whole different joint. Reading the article, you know, I can always justify when there's a shooting or something like that. But if you gonna say that there was been shootings and we ain't gonna put nobody else out, we're not gonna shut them down. And then when you get that, you get to keep making your money. So he ain't spending his money fighting the lawyers and all of that stuff, which is the game for black folks. Bleed them. But if I got profit, it's just, my life is very frustrating. It's really good. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy my life, and I probably could enjoy it more if I didn't know black people.
You know, when I first read this article this weekend, I actually saw a business that was closed down in the South Loop before I read this article, and I was like, oh wow, that is, got to be something to it. But I think the part that is like most like, come on, is how they let the white businesses who have like adjacent violence still stay open, but something can happen on 2 blocks from your black business and they gonna pin it right onto your business.
And then think about, again, there is no entertainment mogul, black entertainment mogul. There's no black, like, think about every movie you watch, every song. At least we got a nightclub. At least we got a nightclub, right? Like, at least you got the ooch, 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 right? So, what? Where?
Do you think that the summary closure ordinance, as it's called, needs to be examined? Because I remember when the Arab gas station owners, like, maybe it's like, I don't know if this was a few months ago, or they was complaining
the
about.
Thoughts and opinions of Ruthie are Ruthie. It's Arab here for me.
My bad.
Ruthie.
My bad.
No letters.
They was complaining about that they businesses were being like disproportionately targeted under the
right, because they the only ones left.
So it's just interesting. Like, when now that it's kind of like that black people are experiencing the same thing. It's like, I don't know. It's just a very, I don't know, Maze, because ain't nobody trying to go out to eat and get shot.
All I'm saying is, we should have the same chances. Now, I'm not going to front, right? We have challenges. Riis is just like Riis said, he was on the roof, and then they be blowing. Like, there are black issues. But what I've come to recognize is we ain't the only ones with issues. Ours just get escalated.
That part.
Ours just get escalated.
And theirs is like ruckus. Ours is innate violence.
All right. Well, y'all, it's the Maze Jackson Show. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. For Maze, Riis, and Ruthie, I am the host where every single day we ask the question, what's in it for the black people? If you don't like it, still tell them. You got anything else you want to say today?
That article wore me out. I had no idea Meek was...
All right. We'll be back after these messages. No, we won't. We'll be back tomorrow. It's the Maze Jackson Show. Maze, Riis, and Ruthie. And if you don't like it, you can still tell them. Maze said, we out of here. Peace.
Let's get down to business and go ahead and address the facts, man. Lightfoot seems more lesbian than black. Rahm Emanuel's another case. He was just as tired. 50 closed schools left much to be desired. Police had Anjanette naked on that body cam. They suppressed the footage so it couldn't touch a lot of hands. Reminds me of that 16 shots in that cover-up. Both of them similar, so I went and dug it up. George Floyd killed, a lot of riots happened in the town. Southside burned and they wouldn't let them bridges down. Grandmother sick, need a prescription plus a couple groceries. You gon' have to travel just to get it now. COVID-19 out here shutting all the business down. Not enough SBA loans to even give around. So many failed businesses that you could put them in the pile. If you don't survive the pandemic, it's gonna sit you down. We sing, dance, play ball, entertain, and crack jokes. Government infested black neighborhoods with crack smoke. System that milked us so bad, we got lactose. Still trying to find out what's in it for us black folks. We sing, dance, play ball, entertain, and crack jokes. Government infested black neighborhoods with crack smoke. System that milked us so bad, we got lactose. Still trying to find out what's in it for us black folks. Shout out to Willie Wilson, hope one day you get to send it. We need some different players in the game to handle business. Too many shady characters like Madigan and Blotto. But when you really break it down, it's typical Chicago. City full of gangsters, it's what the land was built on. Same streets with hood legends, DNA get spilled on. Carjackers out here lurking, trying to get they steal on. Looking for a block to put them Hellcat wheels on. Let us give bogus appraisals a red line. Car crackers out here getting minimal fair time. And I'm concealed carry, I stay with the pipe. But Illinois gun laws giving minimal rights. Stay up on the swivel, make sure I'm moving tight. Check all of my mirrors when I pull up to the light. Pick my homie up from out of town, man, he caught a flight. He was hella nervous, told him, shorty, this is a way of life. We sing, dance, play ball, entertain, and crack jokes. Government infested black neighborhoods with crack smoke. System that milked us so bad, we got lactose. Still trying to find out what's in it for us black folks. We sing, dance, play ball, entertain, and crack jokes. Government infested black neighborhoods with crack smoke. System that milked us so bad, we got lactose. Still trying to find out what's in it for us black folks.